Alright, I want to talk to you about this Lumberjack 3/4 inch professional tenon maker. Use it to make these little tenons for stools I make, bar stools. So basically it makes these, here's anyway, make this, these are out of pallet and turf, so we gotta glue boards together and then get the right thickness, and then I cut them down to 1 inch square and then use the tenon maker to make the rest, make the tenon. Works out pretty slick. A few things about this: it doesn't have any reference where this little cutter slides in on this piece, on the cutter part of it. It's just only held in place by a screw there. The hex Allen head to it. And the thing is, there's really no guide to tell you how to, where to place it. So you kind of, it's a lot of trial and error. What I ended up doing was taking a feeler gauge here and just putting it in to gauge each, so I can get each side the same the same thickness. So I would just do that and come over here and do the same. Actually, so this actually is a little bit off compared to the other side. So then you want to make it actually a little bigger tenon than your hole size. This is a 3/4 inch dowel, and you can see it's pretty loose in here because as this thing moves, it goes back and forth. So that's why I say you have to template it, test fit it, and then a lot of the tenons I make, and I probably have to sand to make them fit easier a little bit. Take a little sandpaper to it. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the one thing about this tool. It has to be run at a very low RPM. They say 500. I run on my drill press at 300, and that's another two they say I recommend for a drill press. But from what I'm doing, it's running really good. The big thing is when you're making these tenons. For what I'm doing, it has to be perfectly straight, so you have to cut all your, I cut this down, so I make sure that's all cut square, and then when I place it on the drill press, I make it have a jig so it's perfectly 90 degrees, so this will hit and won't veer one way or the other. And so when I get done, I get a perfect 10 and 90 degrees across. So it took a little trial and error to get that figured out, but actually I've made 3 or 4, the 2 already. They come out really well for really sturdy, and just make some fine adjustments to it and kind of getting it dialed in as far as the length of tenon and the depth of each hole for the 3/4 inch hole as well. But I think that's it. I say overall I'm very happy with this, from what I'm wanting out of it and what it's doing. So So this is how I line up the cutter. Put a drill bit in the chuck there and center it on the, make a center mark on the rung I'm going to make, and then make sure that that lines up. Then I know that the cutter is going to come down on that in the center. So alright, so this is this jig, I guess it's 90 degrees here. That's always all squared up, and then I just square this up 90 degrees too, and then both sides, hold that in place. I just hold it with another clamp in the middle. And just slow pressure. Check to see everything. So here I'm putting the tenon on the legs section of the legs for the stools. This is before I made my little jig, so I basically just turn the table 90 degrees with use a level to make sure it's plumb, and then just use a couple boards there to kind of make it all 90 degrees and back and forth till I finally get it squared up to the cutter head and lock it all in place. It's kind of the same way. Okay, these tenons are going to fit into a approximately 1-inch thick little top part of the I guess platform for the seat to attach to. So my reveal has to be approximately 1 inch or 1 inch, and I actually cut these at after I get the tenon made, I cut them on a 7-degree angle on 2 different angles or two different planes to fit into the hole. So that's what I'm doing here, is making sure that all my reveal is the same, so they fit in approximately all the same depth into the hole that 3/4 inch hole that I will drill into the platform. After running this for a few hours, I kind of learned what kind of pressure to put on it. It seems to works better if you surge your pressure a little bit. Basically, pressure on, pressure off. If you go too fast, you'll basically lock it up, especially in this hardwood. So you have to kind of ease into it. But for some reason, it seems like if you just kind of pulsate your pressure, it seems to cut a little more smoothly. From my experience, anyway. That's what I'm doing here. So now I'm just putting the rungs into the parts of the legs here. This one's a pretty tight fit. I think I ended up having to sand it a little bit to make it fit a little better, but anyway, I got it together here, and
just to show you how it goes together fairly tightly, and it's very rigid once it's all together. Okay, just completed. It's still in its raw form, has not been finished yet. But this is a 24-inch height bar stool that swivels. I used to make these. The rungs would be a 7-degree angle cut, and then I would drill a hole either side in the rung and in the leg, and then glue it all together. And I've had some issues with those dowels loosening up over time. So I believe this is a much better way to make this bar stool. With epoxy, it should never come apart.